Hey, how's it going? Um, Before we get started here, we had a ton. Well, not a ton. We had a few follows. Uh, the last stream I did, I was talking with Charlie Chu about pitching stuff in comics, and because of that, because I was coloring, trying to give you guys a good stream with talking to Charlie, and that I kind of neglected shouting out people who followed and also neglected the chat a little bit. So I apologize for that. Um, the people who followed, so Swim Team Scrambles followed, Panda Mercenary followed, Robert Wilson the Fourth followed, K Dub followed, Thomas Mocha followed. Yeah, we got a good pack of people, following, which is awesome. So thank you again. So this was suggested by Joe Bartlett. It's that I color some Will Jones art. This was suggested way back when we did the Superman stuff with Kyler. I butchered his name again in my mind. It is Kyler. It's Kyler Claude Feather. I don't know. I'm sorry, Kyler. I'm sorry. I know you follow, and I know you've popped up too. So in the stream, and I follow you on Twitter and everything. But shit, man, I can't remember. It's CLOD something. Anyway, we colored Kyler's Superman back in the day for fan suggestion, and this was also suggested, and I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. We've been distracted by other things, so now we're getting to it. And part of the reason that we're getting to this is because Charlie was talking about, hey Akash, Charlie was talking about how when you make something like that, 99% of the pitches that he gets are going to be, not what Oni Press does. And, doing the research is important. My video preview for the stream is like way behind where I am, but we're gonna roll with it. I hope there isn't too much of a delay. So anyway, when we're working on a Chun-Li piece, and full disclosure, Chun-Li is like way outside of my comfort zone. Like, I'm used to very textury kind of like color theory stuff, and if you do like a quick Google search of like, Chun-Li Capcom art, or just Chun-Li, which by the way I was going to do on stream, but luckily I did not, because holy shit is Chun-Li like, sexualized in the fighting game community. Good lord. Yeah, anyway, so when you look at all the stuff that like Capcom puts out, if you were going to make a Chun-Li piece for a Capcom portfolio, we're going to kind of go in with that mentality. A lot of the stuff that you saw when you would do a Google search like that is like blank background, very, very high rendered color, very bright saturated stuff. So that, I think that's what we're gonna try to do. Excuse me while I sip on my coffee as well. I think we're going to try to make something for Capcom. So I don't want to do a completely blank background. A lot of that stuff too was because it's like, I hope that does not compete with the, yep, it does. Oh, well, my tolerance for the wand is up to 20. So let's set it to 5. Oh, no, it doesn't. Good. So yeah, so let's think about this. What are we gonna do? I have in the alpha channel already. I have the flats all ready to go. I did these flats. They are not, great fat flats. They were quick flats kind of thing. So that's another channel for the what's going to be the cuts and shadows and stuff, but it's just for right now, it's just the base character. So let's get in there and start working on the cuts and shadows and try to make something that Capcom would like. We're gonna be using the airbrush and stuff. Part of the reason why I was stoked to do this right now is not only because I want to talk about like making portfolios for companies specifically, but also because Will Jones does some good work, and he has a criminally low follower count on Twitter and a criminally low follower account on Instagram. So, you know, his at Will Jones art is up there on the screen. So if you dig this Chun-li, you know, click over there, see if you like some more of his art. If you do, give him a follow. You know, guy's coming up, so you know he's going to some shows and stuff, which I saw, which is awesome. That's what you want to be doing if you want to break into comics. Yeah, so in addition to that, I also wanted to talk about how. So we're gonna try to light like top down, like fairly straightforward, because that's basically how a lot of Capcom stuff is lit. Like a lot of the Capcom stuff that we see as far as like their in-house production is kind of like lit for concept design. So that's what we're kind of going to be doing here. It's going to be less about comics and more about concept design. And you know, like I'm not an expert on concept design. Concept design. I'll be the first to admit that. But you know, we're just going to try to do the best we can to make something worth, you know, Capcom's time. One of the things that I noticed when I was doing the flats for this is that Will, I don't know if Will is inspired by Andy McDonald, but his stuff kind of looks like Andy McDonald's a little bit too. Not saying, you know, like he's ripping anybody off like that. I don't know. That whole idea of like this artist ripped off this other, it's like, no, it's unless you're like copying one to one, like that doesn't really happen. People draw similarly, it's fine, you know. But yeah, some of it might just be like the tools they're using, how they're inking. But it kind of reminded me a little bit of Andy McDonald, and I'm like just gonna get started with an Andy McDonald piece in January. So I'm kind of looking at this as like let's do a little warm up, and I know that Andy was thinking, you know, with his art that like he has very angular kind of features, very thick, like I don't know if like thick line art is really what I want to say, but like his stuff like looks thick, like it looks, I don't know, I'm not describing it appropriately. It's less that it like looks thick. It's more like it looks like it doesn't need hard cuts. It looks like whatever the like visual definition of like, you know, cell shaded hard cuts thing is for art is kind of like where I feel like Will lands and where I feel like Andy McDonald lands as well. So Andy, I remember having a conversation with him once that was like, well, you know, like I started coloring him. It was my first book. He and I, yeah, not really has a lot of weight. It's because it isn't even really that. It's like, I don't know. It's tough to kind of describe. It looks like when you do hard cuts on something like this, and you'll see it when we get into actually putting the shadows down. Right now, I'm just kind of carving out where I want the light to be, and we'll like multiply down a darker color, and you'll see like where the shadows kind of land. We're getting like under the eyes, under the nose, that kind of thing. Pretty straightforward, because most of Capcom's stuff is all very like straightforward. Um, but yeah, if you leave it at that with just like the cuts, it's like I don't know, being on Twitter with all caps lock. Like it's just too loud. You know what I mean? Like the line art has enough volume in what it is portraying, how it's portraying the form, that it doesn't need me to step in and be like, I'm also yelling, you know? Like it needs me to be like the not necessarily like the guest hip hop artist, but like the backup man. It needs me to be like, yo, listen to this guy. Yo, this guy's doing it. That's what it needs. So Andy was like, you know, when we work on this project and what we're going to try to do here, let's go a little softer with the rendering, with you know, the shadows. We're not going to do quite as like, you know, high highs, low lows. It's going to be more of like in the middle. And it's important to recognize this kind of stuff when you're coloring, because you know you're going to affect the whole tone. And like Andy McDonald and I, when we first started working together, I didn't really have any. Hey Erica, nice to see you. We got some Eric Canetti refugees right now between Panda and Erica. Yeah, met you in Eric Canetti's chat. Yeah, welcome. Everybody should follow Eric Canetti as well. I host him. I have him on like the auto host, so he's probably popped up if you've ever hung out in the channel before. Yeah, so I forgot my train of thought there. Oh, so yeah, Andy McDonald and I, we did a book with Image called NYC Mech, and that was like my first published work with Ivan Brandon and Miles Gunther. And at the time I was just like, the only thing I really knew how to do, I am primarily a colorist. I would say more than primarily. It's like basically all I do. I've been kind of fooling around with like trying to do some digital paint and stuff, just like on the side. I was talking about this a little bit in Eric's chat when I popped in, where I feel like the future of comics is going to be like this tech for what I do. Used to have a kind of like gate of, you're trying to get into lettering? Cool. There's always a need for good letterists out there. Excuse me. Yeah, so when I got started and I was coloring Andy, I felt like there was like a barrier for entry. This was like 2003, 2004 maybe. Yeah, 04, because I was out of college. There was kind of a barrier, like a skill barrier, tech barrier. Like you had to be like understand how Photoshop works, and I mean you still have to understand how Photoshop works, but over the years they've made it kind of easier and easier to kind of piece together, figure out. Photoshop runs better than it ever has before. It's cheaper than it ever has been before, so like even people who did not like, you know, snag it from their school or whatever, like maybe some people did, I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure some people out there did that, they're going to be able to, you know, try out Photoshop, try the work. And so much of like what is getting, I feel like this is also a response of like what's happening on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, is that like, you know, on social media, the stuff that gets noticed is the stuff that's like, you know, colored, that's like finished, it's done. So like I feel like a lot of artists that are coming up right now, like your Babs Tarr and your Mitch Gerardis and you know, Fiona Staples and stuff. Not that these guys are like up and coming, but like, you know, I feel like we're gonna see more of that. That like right now they're the outlier where it's like, oh, they do everything, pencils, inks, colors. You know, that's crazy. How do they do that? I feel like in the next 10 years, that's gonna start to shift into the norm, or at least be like half and half, and it's gonna be like having an inker is gonna be weird. You know, like having a colorist is going to be maybe a little more normal just because like there's a certain element of like, you know, if you want to do a monthly book, you have X amount of time to do that monthly book, and you might not be able to pencil, ink, and color yourself, you know? That's like the one like saving grace. Sup, boys? So yeah. I feel like, you know, comics are going to shift in that direction. So, you know, I was talking with Eric. I talked like real briefly about that on Eric Canetti's stream. And I think that in the next... What I need to do as a colorist in the next 10 years is basically start drawing. I feel like I need to either crush the coloring game, like dominate it, or start drawing my own comics as well. So one of the things that I want to do in the future, maybe we'll start doing this in the new year, is start doing a, like, you can't, I've learned from countless attempts at things that, like, you know, you can't be like, I'm going to start working out and we're going to do it 5 days a week, or 5 days a week, every weekday, and we're just going to go in and crush it every single day. Because like you're gonna miss one day, and then you're gonna be like, oh well, I missed one day, so this week is gonna be kind of a wash. And then like eventually you just like, you can't, it's like the goal is too high, you know what I mean? So rather than be like, hey, I'm gonna make a comic book, I might just be like, hey, next year, starting with the new year, I'm going to try to do a page in a sketchbook a day, you know? Just try to keep up with 1 page a day. Doesn't, like, content doesn't matter as long as there's, like, something, as long as I sat down, took the time, did a little drawing, you know, it's a win. So I might propose that as a challenge for anybody that wants to join me on like Instagram or Discord. We have a Discord now, by the way. It's linked to the subs. And the subs get special access to stuff. You know, I'm like chilling hard right now, but I think that's because I'm just very excited about this. The subs actually get a special section where they can post portfolios as well as suggestions for community stuff. So like this was suggested by someone on Twitter before I started running, before I had subs and before I had you know, the Discord set up. But in the future, if you're like, hey Nick, I would really love you to crack on stream, thanks boys, I'd really love for you to, you know, crack, I don't know, you know, my buddy's work or my work, or like, I've always really loved this artist and I feel like he's never gotten, you know, a good colorist, you know, like send him my way. Like if you're a sub, you get to throw in suggestions, and I will do as many suggestions as I can, as long as the work is professional and high resolution and that kind of thing. And, you know, if it's somebody else's work, I do have to check with that person, especially if they're like, you know, with like Spider-Man 2099 we did, it's like Rick Leonardi's like not on social networks as far as I know. And like, this is work from, you know, 1990 whatever. And like, he doesn't I don't think he cares. Like he doesn't have the pages anymore. So like we were kind of on our own. Like that's one thing. If you have like a comic from the 80s that you love, I will track it down. I will scan it and we'll get into that. But yeah, so subs get to do that. Subs get to kind of dictate what we do on the channel. And like I said too, if you guys have a color portfolio or you have a comic portfolio, pencils, inks, whatever, shoot it over, put it in the Discord. Put it in the Discord. And we can go over it on stream or off, like whatever you want to do. I can point you in the right direction. Despite being a colorist, I did also do like 4 years of art school, and like even though I might not be able to execute perfect line art, I can certainly point you in the right direction. I know a lot about fundamentals and stuff like that. Also, real talk, pick up the realm. Man, the shill is hard on this stream. I feel like, guys, also just like hang out and like let's have a good time. I don't want to like bog you down in all of my stuff. So conversely, on the flip side of me like trying to sell you on all this stuff, I also I didn't realize that my YouTube, I'm still trying to figure out like all the settings in YouTube and everything. So I didn't realize that it was running a commercial before every broadcast. So I fixed that. My YouTube is now completely commercial free. Nah, I just really like the realm. Yeah, I mean, I really like the realm. Even if I wasn't coloring the realm, I would still be picking up the realm. When Jeremy was talking to me about it, I wasn't the colorist on it, and he was just telling me about it. I was stoked on that book. So, but yeah, so the YouTube should now be 100% commercial free, and it's gonna stay that way forever. Like all this stuff that I do on stream, I kind of feel like is for people to learn from, and I don't want to create any kind of barrier for entry. I don't want to create any like I don't know, not that watching a commercial is a barrier for entry, but like I want you to know that like I'm doing it for you guys. So if you like it, you can donate. If you like it, you can subscribe. If you like it, you can pick up one of my comics and meet me at a show and have me sign some stuff. Like all that stuff's all good. Like if you like it and just want to like check out the VODs, that's fine too. You can do whatever you want. I just want to, make comics a little more accessible for everyone. At any rate, I was talking about when Andy McDonald, who I feel like Will's work also reminds me of, I got my first job in comics working with him on a book called NYC Mech for Image Comics, and I only had like one arrow in my quiver at the time. Like I just started, so basically all I did was cuts like this, like we're doing right now, and I didn't put like any gradients in them or anything like that, any of the special stuff. We're actually getting close to the end of the cuts, so you're gonna see like what it would look like when I'd be done with an Andy McDonald project, although of course this is Will Jones, and you'll see what I mean by like it feels like it's all caps lock, the visual representation of all caps lock, because it's gonna just be like too much. It's not gonna look quite right. I think this is a good place to stop. Maybe we put like a little bit in there. So all right, let's see what we got here. So that was just the alpha channel. This is just to preserve all the cuts so that just in case, you know, we overwork an area. Like, I feel like her thighs are going to be the most challenging part of all this because it's going to have to... The reason the thighs are going to be the most challenging part is because it's got to be slick and clean, and it's a lot of real estate to cover that like has no inked lines on it, no nothing. It's going to be all straight color, whereas like the folds of the outfit, we're going to kind of like, you know, you'll see when we start painting. So this is oh, we forgot the hand over here. We forgot the hand. I was talking, nobody stopped me. I blame the chat. It's fine, guys. It's fine. Just shoulder the blame. It's fine. Yeah, we're just kind of doing this as quickly as possible, so that because I want to get into this thing. There we go. All right. The chat is not happy with shouldering the blame, and yet they must shoulder the blame. So this is kind of like, you know, 70%. I mean, like, obviously we'd tweak the color from here and stuff. We'd do some washes, and we're gonna get into that. But like, this is, you know, kind of what I was talking about as far as like it's kind of visually all caps. Like, there's already so many like hard lines in here that visually I'm also with the hard cuts like kind of doing the same thing, which is not necessarily what line art needs. You know, sometimes to complement the line art you got to go in the other direction. In this case, something like this would benefit from being like a little bit softer. So let's figure out what our colors are going to be, and then let's figure out how to soften everything up. And we got a bunch of little little kind of corrections we got to do. Oop, there we go. I mean, this stuff isn't that big of a deal, but it's bugging me out right now. So, all right. So the first thing we got to do, we kind of did a let's take all of the highlighted areas and wash it with a color. So Chun-Li's in blue, but she's also has the warm skin tones, and especially the leggings are very warm. So I mean, we can try washing it in a blue, but we're gonna have to warm up the skin tones. So like, this is kind of like washed in a blue with the highlights, but we're also thinking about like, so this looks pretty good. And part of the reason why it looks good is because it's cool on cool, you know, like we just echoed what was happening that with our dark gray that we put down, that was kind of cold. So let's try putting down an orange instead. And this is starting to look a little better, even though it doesn't echo what we put down. I just kind of like this better. It cools down the blue in her suit maybe a little too much. Because keep in mind, like, I actually kind of really like this, the cool gray with the you know, kind of like warm gray with the blue, but because look how desaturated this is. It's like way deep in the color picker. It's almost totally gray. And the only reason it looks blue on screen is because of the color around it. Like this blue is so far this side that you're like, oh, it registers in your brain as blue. But if we're making this for Capcom, it's got to be like, oh my god, blue. You know, like it's got to be like coming up the hell right now blue. So let's use this as kind of like our base for things, and then kind of tweak it. So we can take this and just kind of like blue it up. And we want to preserve, yeah. See now, so like now it's a lot more blue, and we can go into the skin tones. And like I said, I plotted this for myself. Oh, did I not? Man. Hold on. I was messing with the line art. I fixed it. Yeah, let's go back. So part of the reason why you want nice, clean flats is because I couldn't tell that I was working on with the line art turned on when it was turned on. It was, since everything was so like grainy on the flats, it looked great, like, and it was, you know, grainy to me. I don't know. It looked like it was right, but it was not right. So yeah, we want to just like saturate the shit out of this thing. I want to take the skin tones, really warm them up. You know, this is going to be like basic color for Chun-Li, because this is kind of like, when you look at all the stuff that Chun-Li on the art, like this is kind of like where it lands. And we warmed it up a little bit, but ultimately you want to keep it kind of basic. Like this is kind of where the line art falls for Capcom stuff, so we'll go in here and paint it. What we're going to do to kind of get started painting, and this is kind of where I would stop for when I started my career. Like I would get it to this point and it looks good enough, and you know, the colors are decent, and you know, there's enough theory behind it that like when I started, my color choices kind of like carried me into, you know, professional work more than the rendering. And as I went in my career, I picked up the rendering more and more. So first thing we're going to do is just take the darker color and throw a gradient of color of that darker color through the lighter color. So that's going to make sense when I actually do it. So like, you know, we're just making sure that it's lit top to bottom by making the bottom kind of a little less bright. And this is going to change. We're going to go in and kind of like tweak this too to make it correct, because like her chest would actually be getting a little more of the light than, and you know, so it'd be darker on top and lighter on the bottom. So we can kind of do that. That's no big deal. And this is just like rendering 101. We can take these guys, her thighs down here, kind of throw the grad through them. This is also, by doing this, we're also pulling the eye up to like where her face is, where the action is, keeping like in mind what your focus should be is critical to making art, especially coloring comics. Like focus is like 3/4 of the game. Yeah, so we're getting like closer now, you know, starting general, getting specific. So from here, we can start to do the actual rendering and painting. So let's get into that. And now normally, like I said, normally this is like kind of not where I live as far as you know, comics go, but you know, we're trying out new things, and you know, we're all learning. I don't know if you guys were around for the I did like that New Mutant Danny Moonstar piece, and we were trying to use the watercolor brush, And I've since used the watercolor brush a lot more. I did a pitch thing with a buddy of mine, and it just like lent itself really easily to that. And while the Danny Moonstar piece, I kind of struggled with the watercolor brushes. I kind of like know what I want to do with them now, and it was a lot of fun. We'll probably use, maybe not the watercolor brush, but we'll be using the airbrush, which is not a brush that I normally use. So we're gonna try some stuff out. Oh, we are screened down. So here's a trick that I like to do. So a lot of times in coloring, you'll have a, like right now we have highlight, shadow, and that's it. And if you want to create like a core shadow, you kind of like add in a darker core to it. A way to kind of cheat and make it look like you're doing more than you're actually doing is to kind of ride the core shadow, but like not necessarily. And we're gonna get into that in a second. So like a lot of like Capcom stuff has like a crazy freaking bounce light to it. And like bounce light is just like the light that reflects off of like it's, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. So like bounce light is like, so the light hits the shoulder here, right? Picks up a little bit of the blue and bounces into her face, and her face gets a little bit of the blue from her shoulder. Like that's bounce light. Capcom rendering, like hyper rendered stuff, like has a ton of that. So here's a little way to cheat, you know, and you don't have to be like super on top of like what you were doing before, but just like kind of you're making like a core shadow into the line art or into the rendering. Man, this became very tutorial-y. I think it's because like I haven't really done anything like this on stream before. Apologize if you guys were hanging out to watch me be ridiculous and not watch me educate. I'm sorry if you're learning something. We're gonna have a video game stream coming up soon where no one will learn anything. You love the tutorialness? Oh, good. I'm glad because that's what we're doing. So if you're paying attention, we're kind of like riding the line between light and shadow and making selections that are like between light and shadow like this. And I'm going to show you what you end up with once we get like a good chunk going. And we're going to do this on the clothes mostly because like the skin is going to be really soft and you want the clothes to not be quite as soft in comparison. A colorist like has full control over texture, just simply because of the tools at our disposal, and because you know, a line artist really only works in black and white, so they really don't do a whole lot of grayscale work, and I feel like that's where a lot of the texture comes from. So if you are a colorist, this is like, not only do you have full control over like hue, saturation, levels, like all that kind of stuff, the highs and lows of everything, but like you also have control over texture, which is a lot of like, you know, I feel like part of the reason why people start coloring and they feel like, oh, like this is easy, we just, you know, do all these, this should be easy, you know, like everybody knows how Chun-Li's colored, just blue and orange, and then they get in there and then like they start to realize, you know, like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought and I don't even know why. That's why. It's because we are juggling a million different things. What's up, Ziggy? Yeah, fake McCoy and I used to go to college together way back in the day. Um, he's been fake McCoy for as long as I've known him, which has got to be like, God, how old are we? Fuck, like you've been fake McCoy at least for 15 years. Um, yeah. So, like I said, we're kind of like just riding the edge between the light and the dark that we already set up. And we'll do it over here too. I guess we'll do it over the whole thing. I was going to actually show you what we were doing and then do the rest of it, but let's just do it all in one pass, actually. And then you can see it kind of like take shape. And this is all to kind of like make this. You met me 17 years ago? Holy shit. We all got old, man. 17 years ago. Memes weren't even a thing. Fidget spinners? Just a glimmer in someone's eyes. Alright, let's do the stuff down here. So yeah, this is gonna be a quick and easy or quick and dirty way to do like bounce light and stuff. And it's also gonna soften all of the rendering that we got going on. Oh, thanks. Will Jones is in the chat. I didn't know if you had a Twitch or not. Will Jones did this piece, and all his contact info is also at the top of your screen. You should follow him. I kind of like poked around in your social media, Will. You're a little more active on Instagram than you are on Twitter, so I think that's right. I mean, if I'm wrong, say so. But you know, check out the Insta. So, you guys pick up anything good for New Comic Book Day? I haven't had a chance to check yet because check to see like what's new and what I need to catch up on, because I got a Nintendo Switch. I think I mentioned that in the last stream, and I kind of like impulse bought it. I've been purging a lot of. The line tool is not what we wanted. I've been purging a lot of stuff that I wasn't using anymore. Like, I got rid of my Dreamcast arcade stick that like wasn't really getting any use anymore. A couple other arcade sticks from some older systems, and like a handful of like military shooters that I wasn't really playing anymore, and that kind of stuff. I brought them down to my local video game shop, not a GameStop, and they, it's like a mom and pop shop. So I walked in and I told them, I was like, hey, like whatever you can give me for these, I just kind of want them out of my house. I'm decluttering. And the guy was like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, we got like $20 in the register. You're more active on Instagram, going to be bumping the Twitter activity more. Cool, man. Now's the time. Strike now. You got the old Flarty bump. There you go, man. Follow Will on all platforms. So yeah, so I went in and was kind of like, whatever you can give me. And the guy was like, well, you're going to take store credit because we got like $20 in the register. And I was like, so that Nintendo Switch behind the counter, is that thing brand new? It's not used? And he was like, no, brand new. I was like, well, I guess we're getting a Nintendo Switch. All All right, so we've kind of made these selections, and I just kind of want to show you where the selections are. There is where they are. They're kind of like in between the light and the dark. They're like riding the line. So like, you know, right here, it's like half on the light, half on the dark, and we're just gonna take a dark blue in the palette here. We're gonna make sure we're not on any of the yellow. And look, man, I talked about this a second ago. Fake McCoy in the chat says quit zooming in on the boobs. And like I talked about this before. I was gonna show what a Google search of Chun-Li looks like, but oh my god, she is so sexualized within the fighting game community. It is out of control. And even with the safe search on, I was getting some questionable results. So, look, I am not trying to zoom in on I want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not zooming in on the boobs. We're just trying to render. So we're going to take a dark blue and multiply it down. And so now we kind of have a roadmap for, like, first of all, we've like kind of softened the transition from light to dark. We could even actually soften it a little bit more. 30? Yeah. And we have a roadmap for like this kind of like bounce light that Capcom likes to do. So we can kind of like take this selection now that's like totally, and this selection is 100% within the black, like, or not the black, the darker areas, and we can take that same color from it, set it to screen, radial grad, and kind of like amp it up just a little so that it's not quite as bright as the rest of her, but like has a kind of like bounce light to it, you know? It's we're creating like these crazy light sources that don't exist in real life. And then if you want to, you can take and like soften one side of it. So we take like the dark of that. Whoa. We deselected and kind of like, you know, soften one side. So now it's kind of creating like a line up here, but then it's like softens to what it is down here. It works. It's like a quick fix to what you need to do. And, you know, it'll create these like odd little shapes that are actually kind of neat and interesting. And like neat and interesting is where we want to be, because we're trying to make this as cool as it can be. So yeah, let's make this as cool as it can be. Yeah, so the Boix just said golf story hype. I was posting in my Discord that all I want to do is play Golf Story now. I actually just got a check from Marvel and paid all the bills, and then after all the bills were paid, I was like, all right, let's buy some stuff for the Switch. So I bought a bunch of stuff that has not yet shipped, and I was like, okay, what else are we going to buy for the Switch? And I picked up, I wanted to get like a DLC game from the shop, just so I have like something to play, because I'm like hyped on it. And I got Golf Story, and holy shit, that game is way better than I thought it was gonna be. All I want to do is golf. Turns out golf and RPGs go very well together, like the Boix was saying when he recommended it. So we're just taking another pass at the fabric down here, because we don't want it to, it's looking too similar to the stuff up top, and we actually want it like a little bit darker, not even like darker, but just like less of a high on it, less of a highlight, and that is really just gonna be to direct the eye up, to keep your like, you know, keep you up top with her face and stuff, rather than down below. You know, pull the focus. And actually, my buddy Matt Wilson was talking about how he's been doing this thing lately where he will take like an image like this, and he's got, you know, the background here. He'll make a new layer, set it to multiply, and just like take a color. We'll take a red, and just kind of like throw a grad through it. Let's do like that. And then kind of like bring it down a little bit, and then he'll take another layer, set it to overlay, and take like another color, and we'll do like a 30% and kind of brighten it up. And you can kind of like tweak it if you want to. So like something like that. So the overlay actually lightens it up, and then the multiply actually darkens. So you can kind of like pull focus. You want to pull it to the lighter spot and away from the darker spot. So like that kind of actually like that did a lot. Actually, it was very, very simple, but it did a lot in there. But that's cheating, and Matt Wilson is a cheater, and we're not going to be cheaters on stream. Matt Wilson is a good friend and a coloring cheater with an Eisner. Disgusting. All right, so let's tackle the, I don't even know what to call these. They're not earmuffs. They're like, I don't know, buns. Yeah, buns. Let's tackle the buns. Just because we're gonna do them in the exact same way as we handled the suit. And we're not done with the suit either. We're just kind of like trying to color in steps, bun bonnets. We're kind of trying to color in steps because you know, it's kind of easier. You can hold your train of thought better. Do like one method for the whole thing and then another method for the whole thing. And like I said, I don't actually normally color this way, but this is very like superhero-y, and we're trying to make it for Capcom. You know what we should do? We should do a second stream where I color it the way I would want to color it. You know, a little less superhero. You know what? Man, we should do that. We should compare contrast. You know what? Hold on. Let me Craig. What? No. Really? Your name is Jason? I'm talking to one of the interns. Hold on one second. Jason, then, I guess. Can we bump all the guests and everything? Can we bump the stream one? We're going to do a second stream with this. Well, just tell them to wait. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right, Jason. God, that guy is so close to being fired. You know, I've let go of 54 interns this year. Crazy. Kids just don't want to work. Kids just don't want to work. Certainly Craig doesn't want to work. I fired 8 Craigs this year. Nuts. Crazy. I almost did it straight-faced. I almost. Guys, I don't know. I'm trying to make the stream interesting. Does anyone really want to work? I do, man. I love this stuff. This is literally... Akash, you just said, does anyone really want to work? And this is literally work that I am not getting paid for. So, yeah. Some people want to work. Craig doesn't want to work. That's for sure. Don't be like Craig. Yeah, my room full of interns. It's a real thing. I would pan the camera, but it's like attached to a physical location. And for continuity for the stream, I can't move it. But there is an entire group of interns. Like that way, off camera, they're working round the clock on this stuff. Hey Ninja, what's up? We're getting our fighting game on. By the way, speaking of fighters, I'm terrible at them. Like, I love Street Fighter, but oh my god, I'm apparently so bad. I had no idea. And when you've wanted to cosplay as Chun-Li, so this is nostalgic. Nice. An entire room of Craigs. Yeah. Fucking Craig. It just doesn't want to work. Yeah, so I got, when Street Fighter 4 came out, I got like hyped on Street Fighter 4. And I was like, this is awesome. You can take it online. I was so used to just play, like, the last Street Fighter I played was like Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like SNES days, like with any kind of consistency. I didn't play any fighters in college or anything. Well, that's not true. I played a little Tekken Tag, but that's like a totally different beast. And I played like a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with some buds, and was like okay at that. You know, like I wasn't bad, or I thought I wasn't bad, and then I go online and it turns out I'm terrible. And then years later, some friends of mine were like, hey, we're starting to get into fighters now. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna get into fighters too with you guys, because like if we all play, then like I won't be so bad, you know, like it'll be like, oh, we're all kind of the same skill level. But no, we're not all the same skill level. That's the thing, is we're not all the same skill level. Just the mention of this is giving me some PTSD. When I was living in Philadelphia, I would do a thing where I do not like this color. This is not working. Let's do a red instead. Red instead is bad. We'll do like a blue. I guess we're doing blue. Yeah, blue's better. Yeah, so I mean, you can really tell that bounce light, like we're doing like a ton of stuff in the buns. That's like in the buns. We're doing a ton of stuff in the buns. The stream is all ages, by the way. We're all ages. Currently all ages. So we're you know, like I did the same technique in the clothes that we did up here, and we kind of we're kind of doing the same thing, you know, with the bounce light. And we've got like, you know, but we did 2 cuts, but we made it look like we did 4 cuts, you know. God, what was I talking about? Oh, so when I was living in Philly, this is finally I mean, this is probably as close to anime as I get, to be perfectly honest. The closest it ever comes to anime. My dog is crying in the background, by the way. I don't know if you guys can hear him on stream. It's because my lovely fiance is vacuuming, and she shut the door, and he wants us to be in both the same place, and he does not want to go through he doesn't want to have the door closed, and he can't emotionally handle this. He's going through a rough patch right now. It's been a rough 20 minutes for him. All right, before we get into doing all kinds of shadows and stuff. Let's start working on let's just jump into the face, I guess. We can do the hair first because the hair is going to be similar to the buns and stuff. So when I was in Philadelphia, I thought that was James, the other intern, the other of, like I said, 16 interns. Some of them are Craig, some of them are James. Yeah, dog logic. Yeah, this is happening right now and will last forever. Why won't it stop? Yeah. He's going through it right now. So I was living in Philly, like I've said like 5 times now, and I was doing this thing where I would go to the bar and drink your drinks like you do at the bar, and I would stumble home, and I would not drive. By the way, don't drive. And I'd get on eBay, and I'd be like, I want things, I deserve it. I've been drinking. I deserve it. And then future me, never drive. Never ever drive. For any reason. And then future me would receive a drunk gift for something fun, like drunk me ordered something, forgot about it, and then sober me would receive it in like 2 to 3 business days. And I got myself like, first edition Infinity War stuff, and like Infinity Gauntlet stuff, and Secret Wars first edition stuff, and like, mostly it was just like comic books or like a video game or something like that, like something little comes in the mail, no big deal, done. Except when the last time I did it, and then I was like never again, was when I ordered while intoxicated a arcade cabinet. Yeah, I bought an arcade cabinet while I was intoxicated off of eBay, and you got drunk and planned a trip to South Korea. Say hi to my flatters for me. Did you go, Fake McCoy, to South Korea? Was it fun? I bet it was fun. Did you? I want to know. I want to know if you went. I need to know. You ever just drink and wake up in Tokyo? If only. That would be a lot of fun. If I drank and woke up in Tokyo, though, I think the most problematic thing would be, when did I get a passport? Like that would be the thing that I'd be most like frustrated with. When did I get the passport, get to Tokyo, and then lose the passport? Because I would 100% lose the passport. All right, let's get into. So, the airbrush that I use is from Kyle Webster's old airbrush set that I feel like is not quite as good as the airbrush that's in like whatever, for whatever reason. It's just like not my thing. Going there for 2 weeks, spending my birthday there. Oh, that's awesome. You haven't actually gone, but you're gonna do it. Yeah. So let's save the airbrush brush in here. Because I don't know if I have or not, but now it is. So, whoa. Option click. Oh my god, that's not what we want. Clicked the wrong thing. Alright, so we are softening up the cuts and trying to make Chun-Li look a little softer. Yeah, so drunk Nick Filardi bought sober Nick Filardi a lot of responsibility, is what he bought that day. He bought what he decided to do for Nick Filardi's next business day was rent a truck, find a friend, drive to New York City, get a arcade cabinet onto a dolly, get it down 5 flights of stairs into the truck, and then home. And while I was coming home, I came down with some food poisoning. So it was a great trip. I was like puking out the side of the van. I wasn't actually driving on the way home, but I was puking out the side of the van, like while the thing was in motion. By the way, if you ever pick up an arcade cabinet and you're like, oh, we have a van, like roadside tacos, yeah. Oh, we have a van, like we don't have to tie it down. It's like it's covered, it's fine. Tie it down, because I actually had a friend of mine in New York helping me with getting the thing down the stairs, and then a friend that I brought with me. So there was 3 of us. So 2 of us sat up front, and I sat in the back with the cab, and we'd hit a little bump, and the cab would hop, and it almost crushed my leg. It was a total disaster. But I ended up with that cab. I got it from a guy, if you're watching, Wes Fang from New York. I appreciate that your girlfriend made you move in with her and get rid of that cabinet, because it just served me well. So we're just kind of airbrushing here. We're softening it up, but I don't know if we're gonna keep, like, I'm kind of like putting in like a core shadow. Some of the things, so here's the thing with using an airbrush. You can't only use an airbrush, because if it's all soft, it's gonna look weird. Was that the intern? Yeah. Yeah. Anything you hear that's not me is probably one of the 16 Jason and Craigs that we have kind of roaming around at all times within the complex. I mean, I try to get them to be silent, but you can only hit a person so many times. So, like, logistically, there's only so many hours in the day. So, anything that you hear that's not me is that. So with the airbrush, even though we want to keep it soft, there is such a thing as like too soft. Boix is concerned for the interns. That intern looks like they need some good pats. Yeah, he's having a hard time right now. Oh, buddy. Do you just want to go out there? We can do that. There you go. Did you just give the interns guns and have them steal an espresso machine? If only. I am actually sipping on a coffee right now. Finished it off out of my Black Mesa Research Facility mug. That's a good mug. I bought the that mug because I had bought the orange box for Xbox 360. I bought it used, and the games were so good, like Portal and Half-Life. It was the first time I'd ever played any Half-Life. And the games were so good that I actually felt bad for buying it used. So I went onto the Valve's site and bought like a couple of mugs. The orange box came out 10 years ago. Yeah, man. I bought a couple of mugs. I bought some posters. I bought, what else did I buy? like a t-shirt or something. Yeah, it's the only time I think I've ever done that. Man, I wish Valve made games. So I don't know if the face is turning out exactly how I want. There's like a little too much detail in the nose. We're gonna try to fix that. Like there's just too much going on. With art like this, like kind of the less that's going on, the less amount of detail you put in, it's kind of like the more it's gonna work well. And we're kind of starting to get off the rails. Like what's happening is like there's ending up to be too much lines going on. They just print money now. Yeah, they don't have to make games ever again. No more Half-Life, no more anything. I mean, I'm sure they will make stuff like that again. I actually Mike Oming and I did some work for Valve, and we in that course of us doing work for Valve, I actually came up with a gameplay mechanic that I have not seen implemented yet for first-person shooters. They updated TF2 recently? Why? Isn't everyone just playing Overwatch as far as like that kind of like team stuff goes? But yeah, and I don't want to give away the mechanic because I do want to use it for something. If you're a video game studio, let's talk. I got ideas, man. I want to play games. I want to make games. But I gotta start doing my own art if I ever want to get that off the ground. That's part of for anybody that wasn't here before. I'm toying with the idea of doing a like sketchbook page a day, keep me honest thing in the Discord with anybody else that wants to do that with me. Just like any sketchbook page a day, 365 for the year. Doesn't have to be anything like publishable, doesn't have to be anything like, you know, crazy, or just like draw something. Yeah, see, so this is what's happening is like I'm making all this like drawing. Do it. Yeah, you want to do it with me, Rico? You can join in. I was thinking about making a blog, but then I was like, are blogs still a thing? I don't even know if blogs are a thing. Okay, I sold you. You're in. So I'm basically like walking back all of the mark making that's happened here because I feel like it's just too much. Like I said before, I feel like line art like this benefits from less mark making, not more. Draw fun shit a couple times a week. Yeah, man, you should. Yeah, I kind of feel like, I don't know, that part of me, and part of this is because like I feel like I want cool shit to work on, and sometimes I work on stuff, and this doesn't happen like a ton, but like especially right now because I'm actually working with a lot of really like great and talented people, but I find myself in situations where I'm like, oh man, if the artist had just like done this a little bit differently, this panel would like it would be very like well colored. You know what I mean? Like it would lend itself to color a lot easier. Or if they just like worked this silhouette a little better, then like things would be a little more impactful. You know, like stuff like that. And I think that it's just coming from a background of coloring of like I the way that I think about art is I think different than people who necessarily work in black and white. So I don't know. Oh yeah, Jordan. Yeah, I saw you were doing daily painting from Star Wars screen caps. Yeah, man. Yeah, keep it up. Well, I was thinking about doing the sketchbook thing, um, because I am still really rusty, and I just wanted to be like, hey, I'm a colorist, and you know, that by putting it in the Discord. Okay, by the way, we have a Discord. You can follow. There's a link below me in the stream, but kind of like, here's what it looks like. I just tweeted that, you know, or posted that, you know, we were going live, but we've been talking about Coach McGurk and stuff, and you know, we got an art share happening here where I just like everything we find, you know, it's like up there. We're talking about Golf Story, you know, some comic book hauls and stuff. You know, we just like kind of shoot the shit, and whoop. So I was gonna post like a sketchbook page a day over there, because even though that's public, it's not like public. Like I know that a lot of people are following, you know, my Instagram to see, you know, coloring, and a lot of people follow here for coloring, and a lot of people follow my Twitter for coloring, and that, you know, the goals of those things are to show off coloring and show that like this is an art form and something to be taken seriously. And if I just start messing around with drawing, it might like dilute the experience. If that makes any sense. I might be overthinking this, especially if it's just me like fucking around with a sketchbook. But I was thinking about all this kinds of stuff, and trying to do some sketches and putting it up in the Discord. So if you're interested in viewing that stuff, I'm gonna start in the new year, because Thanksgiving is gonna be bonkers, and then, you know, Christmas is gonna be bonkers, and then, you know, we have the new year, and then, well, I'll be staying inside forever. So we're kind of like softening the buns just a little bit with some grads. Kind of this is going to be very dark in here because it's like a kind of a crazy fold. And we kind of like added some highlights to the hair and stuff. I think we might either come back to the face or leave it as is. Man, I kind of want to do like a. Oh, maybe we're back in. Maybe we're sucked back in. Shit. When you work in corporate art, you always struggle between wanting to go home and draw Spider-Man or something, because that's stuff at work isn't necessarily fun, but also wanting to just go home and not draw, because yeah, I know, man, it's so difficult to kind of like power through, and not only that, but like for a long time I felt like I couldn't. I don't know if you felt like this, Fake McCoy, because we went to the same college, but there was such an emphasis on like craft at SCAD that like I feel like it took all of the fun out of what we were doing. Like I just kind of like started to I just kind of started feeling when I got out of college that like if I wasn't going to make Watchmen, or I wasn't going to make something marketable, or I wasn't going to make, you know, I don't know, you think that's just school? Yeah. Then like it wasn't worth doing. And like, it took me years to get over that. And then it took me years to get comfortable enough within comics to be like, okay, maybe we can do, you know, like something else, you know, like maybe it took me like years to get comfortable enough within comics where I was consistently working and I wasn't tired all the time. And then it took me years after that to like, I'm consistently working, I'm not tired all the time, and I'm actually excited about comics. Like, both those things are important. We just warmed up the cheeks a little bit there. Yeah, now we're starting to, now the Chun-Li face looks a little better. The Chun-Li face. I could have just said the face. There's only one character here. I don't know why I said the Chun-Li face. Let's do just like a little bit of shadow, a little bit. Yeah, that looks hot. We're getting there. We're gonna do the thing where we kind of like punch out some of the nose and stuff. Take the line art and colorize it. Yeah, so I feel like I'm starting to, between my theory of in 20 years everybody's going to be coloring their own stuff and there's going to be no place for a colorist, between my theory of that, which by the way, I know there's some colorists in the chat, y'all are on notice, 20 years, mark my words. I feel like between, wow, when you zoom in, this under the nose is a shit show, huh? Kind of just all over the place. You have most other skills, mostly eating. You win more contests than anyone I know, so I think, which is like what, one contest? You got that to fall back on. Mostly eating and hot dog design, and you're good. Yeah, I don't know, like something about like, you know, the way that I see the way that younger people are making art, as opposed to like how people are making art out of free donuts and biscuits for life, all set. Yeah, you don't need anything else, Rico. Yeah, I feel like the way that younger people are approaching art and the way that us older people, like older, I'm 36, I'm not old, but yeah, us older people are approaching art is like just different, you know? And I feel like the traditional, like I already feel like the traditional inker is starting to like change, or kind of not necessarily go away, but just like you only see it now within like superhero books. Like you don't see inkers on like other stuff. And I think that part of the reason for that is just like everybody wants to do everything themselves. Like they see what Sean Murphy's doing and they're like, oh, we can just ink ourselves. Let's just do that, you know? I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily the truth. This is just like my hot take on the industry. But my point is that I feel like what we do as far as that, and budgets are lower in most places. Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's true. Like when you start out, they're like, we have X amount of dollars per page, and you know, you're like, fuck, I gotta do everything. Or you just do everything because you're just like, I just want to start making comics, and you're just like, let's just go, kind of thing. when you call a guy that goes over the same thing that somebody else does, it's the same thing without going outside the original definition of the image. I don't was that words? When you call a guy that goes over, you're working through the not being tired all the time part. Having a part-time day job and working on comics is a challenge. Yeah, man. We were talking about on Twitter today. Jim Zub posted. Was it him? I can't remember. Somebody posted like, "What was your journey in comics? Like, how did you get to the place that you got?" And my journey was everyone was like, "Oh, I worked this job." Chasing Amy quote about an inker and a tracer. Everyone was like, "Oh, I worked this job, and then I worked this job, and then I worked this job," and I was like, I went to school and then I started doing comics, and I think part of that is like a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, and then some of it I think is just because like I was straight up ignorant of the financial implications of the choices I was making, if that makes any sense. Like I was basically like I'll just do comics and I won't get paid a lot, and I'll live in this apartment that's like in this shitty part of Philadelphia with like a bunch of crime, and then I'll just live here and I'll make comics and like things will work out, and then like at the end of the year I won't pay my taxes, and like that's kind of what I did. And I was just like, oh, I'll just do comics all day. And it's like, well, if you're older and you like you have a family or bills to pay or whatever, like I had bills to pay and I didn't even realize it. And I feel like because of that, it gave me the time that I needed to like really focus on doing comics, and like, you know, gave me kind of like a leg up, because I was doing comics 24/7, but I was not getting paid well for them. You know, and I'm still kind of like paying for the repercussions as far as like the financial decisions that I made. Yeah, you know, I mean, it is what it is. People get there in different ways, but yeah. It's been one of those things that people have been saying since we've been in SCAD. Inkers are going away, monthlies are going away. It'll be some time till that stuff is really gone. Yeah, I feel like there's a weird shift. And especially because, I don't know if you've noticed this, Ziggy, too. Part of the reason why I'm doing this stream is because, like, I feel like the people that are teaching at, you know, SCAD, when we were there, especially, I mean, I don't know about now, but, like, I feel like they were teaching a model of comics that does not really exist anymore, which is, like, everyone's very segmented, everyone's separate, all jobs are, and then like comics are made this exact way, and it's like, no, man, you make a comic, like it doesn't matter how you make the comic as long as it, like, you know, is printable and like looks good, you know. Like I remember when I was in college, it's so easy for people to take advantage of out of college folks. Yeah, I don't think many colleges do a good job of preparing people for realistic expectations and a legitimate plan forward. 100%. I really feel like SCAD should have had a class that was just like, because okay, when you do comics, especially with you doing comics, it's like, this is my whole shit, like all this, except for the interns. I don't really have anybody helping me out. I have like, you know, like I'm my own, you know, I need an accountant to do the accountant thing, like payroll and stuff like that. And then like trying to figure out like who was a good accountant was like, that was like its own ball game. But like beyond that, it's like, you know, just first year out, trying to figure out what my taxes look like was a fucking challenge. And I was like thrown to the wolves, you know? I feel like when you're 20 something and you're like trying to make this work, like you just don't know enough about life to really make this work. Yeah, college doesn't charge enough for that, and spending 2 years teaching you stuff probably likely never use. God, I need an accountant. Yeah, I my advice to everybody in comics, even if you're up and coming, if you're starting to make any kind of money in comics, any kind of money, any at all, get an accountant. Because get an accountant, tell them you want to be in an S corp, and have them set up payroll. Because like, here's the thing, you're always working towards the next project. You're always working bigger. And hopefully you're gaining momentum. And if you ever end up in a situation where suddenly you're like, a lot of people that I talk to, their situation changes rapidly. Like you get your big break, or you start working for Marvel or DC, and you start getting like a decent paycheck, and that snowballs into other things or whatever. Like, you're kind of like, your life changes very quickly. You end up with like this large sum of money, and if you're like me and you have like student loan debt and stuff, you start like dumping it into there and feeling like, okay, I did the responsible thing, but like, you really need an accountant to help you out. And if you have your S corp set up already and you're already like ready to be not taken advantage of, then like when the time comes, the government won't be able to take advantage of you. Like, you're kind of like, I don't know, making yourself unkillable by the tax man. At least that's the goal. Yeah. You're being a staff artist isn't always fun, but boy, your taxes are easy. Yeah. I mean, look, we're streaming a fun stream, and I feel like we've swerved into like doom and gloom and taxes. I don't know if this is where we want to be. But yeah, my 2 cents with that whole thing is like, if you are an aspiring artist, get an accountant, set up an S corp. It is going to be worth it for you, because your life at some point will change. You'll get momentum. You'll start getting hired somewhere, and you're gonna want to be prepared. I had an accountant. Chun-li loves taxes. This is what Street Fighter is all about. It's one big tax discussion, really. By the way, if we are steering, that thumb looks weird. If we are indeed steering this back towards Chun-Li and Street Fighter, it's 2017, kind of the whole vibe. The whole vibe of 2017 is one big downer. Yeah. This is coming out good, by the way. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with how the face ended up. It turned out a little better than I thought it was going to, which is cool. What was I going to say? Oh, so if we are talking about Chun-Li again, if we are backing away from the tax conversation, so I got this arcade machine. Drunk Nick picked it up, and he did not realize when you buy something like an arcade cabinet, you should do things like measure your doorway. So we pulled in at like 3 in the morning, or 2 or 3 in the morning, finally, to Philadelphia. And my buddy gets out of the car or out of the van, and we get the cabinet moving in, and we get it out off the van, and it won't go through the front door, and the refrigerator is in the way. So we hammered the pins out of the hinges for the door, and then took the door off the hinges, and then it fit through. We had to move the refrigerator, and then we had to attach the door back on in Philadelphia at like 2 in the morning. It was a debacle. And I also lived in a row home with a spiral staircase. It was a like half a row home. Like I lived in the front half and somebody else lived in the back half. It was like not cut, lengthwise in the row home, but it like down the middle like that. And the spiral staircase was so tight that I couldn't move. Like the arcade cabinet had to stay in the kitchen, like on the first floor. But because it was hanging out in the kitchen on the first floor, my fiance, who was my girlfriend at the time, Shannon, we'd like hang out and she would make dinner and she'd be like, hey, we're waiting for something to boil. Do you want to, or waiting for something to cook in the oven? You want to fire up some Street Fighter? I had, in the cab, I put so here's the thing with old Capcom boards. I'm kind of like digressing here, but, oh yeah. Yeah. Dude, this stream, I feel like, so we're going to get back to this conversation cause we're talking comic stuff. Yeah, this stream I'm trying to make as basically like not only like watch me color and figure out techniques, but like as friendly as possible for new people who are trying to get into the industry. That's the stuff I want to talk about. Like I want to give a leg up to people who are starting. And that's also partly why I wanted to do community days where like I will color somebody else who like I wouldn't normally, I get out of my comfort zone with coloring, but also like somebody who doesn't necessarily get professionals to color them gets a, professional coloring them. And also I want to talk about like comic stuff that I wish that I knew when I was starting out. Because I feel like that stuff's valuable and nobody talks about it. Or if they do talk about it, it's just like with other professionals and they're like, well, I wish I knew this. And the other professional will be like, yep. So, yeah. So anyway, though, professional stuff aside. Whoa. I hit my mug. I'm gesturing too much. Professional stuff aside, it turns out, and if you remember back to what I was saying before about my Street Fighter abilities, I was like, well, I know I'm not great at Street Fighter, but I was like, I can probably beat Shannon. Like, she's a girl, she doesn't play a lot of video games, it's fine. And she was like, all right, let's do this. And she proceeded to wipe the floor with me. Like, we'd play all good fun. But like, what is this link in the chat? Let's check it out. Zip burst PNG. Oh, you want, are we dropping this in the background? Can I just copy paste it? Maybe. We might be able to copy paste this in. Oh, it's tiny. Is it really tiny, or is it just tiny in the image that I copied? Let's find out. Oh, it's not tiny. It's like 5 megs. Oh God, everything's. I'm pinwheeling hard. I can't see the chat because my download of this like pinwheeled my freaking thing. Hold on for a second. I hope we're still live. Rico, you crashed the whole thing. Is this really gonna crash my whole shit? Oh my God. I think we gotta force quit the. I'm gonna be back in the chat in a second. There we go. Hold on. I will be back in moments. Wow, my computer is doing some weird shit right now. Hold on one second. It is not bringing up my taskbar. You know what? I don't even know if we're live still. We're going to save this. Let's save what we got going on because I don't know what's going on with with the thing. Rico, you crashed the whole thing. If you can still hear me, you've just sent me so many viruses. And while I don't appreciate it, God damn it, do I respect it. Like destroying me from the inside out? Yeah. Trojan horse. I appreciate it. All right, Twitch dashboard's loading up. Give me a second. Oh God, we're back. Are we live? Yeah, it says we're live. It's all right, man. It's like, so that I think is a symptom of my poor potato computer. I got some action bursts that we can try. I'm gonna download the the one that you gave me another time. So I think we're gonna fix the thighs, and then I think we're gonna be mostly done. Oh, we gotta fix the gauntlets a little bit. They're looking a little grayish. Oh, Ziggy is texting me that we're still alive. Thank you. Thank you, Fake McCoy. So yeah, we're gonna make them a little more grayish. Throw like a little bit of a highlight through them, like that. Done deal. This happens a lot too. Like I've noticed that with streams, I get to about an hour and a half point, and we're like an hour 47 right now, and I'm like, there's stuff that I want to do that I feel like if I was not as tired as I am right now, I would 100% do, like stuff like bounce light in the little gauntlets, and like we actually might do some stuff for the spikes and stuff, but I don't know if we're gonna actually do that or not, because I'm starting to get tired. But you know, we'll see. So yeah, Shannon thoroughly kicked my ass, and she kicked my ass with Chun-li, like on the regular. She was like, I only ever want to be Chun-li or Cammy. That's what she told me. She was like, I always pick the girls. And we were playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I have I think it's either a 16-in-1 or an 18-in-1 Phoenix Capcom Play System 2 cab. Which, if that doesn't mean anything to you, that's fine. This looks finished. Yeah. I see, man, this is something that I've talked about too with like comics, is that like there is a point where like things look finished, right? Like whatever point this is, like, you know, it looks like pretty acceptable as like a finished product. Like we could be done right now. We could walk away. But the thing is like, you know, and you know, I do this all the time. We'll be on stream, we'll get to the end, and I'll be like, is it done? Is it done now? Are we done now? Like, there's always like kind of something else that, especially when you, I feel like when you are working in the industry for as long as I have, you get like a lot of kind of like tips and tricks up your sleeve for things, and then it's like, oh, we can do this part on this, and we can do this part on this, and especially with this, because like there's no time frame on this, you know, like I could call the stream right now, we could come back and we could do more painting, but you know, we've already pushed all of our guests a week already, because you know, we're gonna do this one's for Capcom, and we're gonna do one for me after this. Next stream we're gonna be doing the same line art in a totally different direction, which will be fun. But yeah, like I feel like partly what happens too is you get to a point where it's like kind of finished, and then you also have to like take into account that like you've been staring at the same thing for a long time. And I'll do this all the time where like I'll finish a book, turn it in, and then people will be like, oh well, you know, like we'll do like a round of corrections, and then while I'm doing the corrections that like other people have pointed out, like, okay, you know, like Iron Man needs to be, you know, red and gold, and you colored him purple and green. I don't know why you did that. You're a crazy person. There's a movie. Why didn't you just look at the movie? It's been like a whole franchise. Like, do you even like comic books? So I'll get like corrects like that, and then I'll be like going through and making Iron Man red and gold, and then I'll be like, okay, you know, like while we're doing this, like I just noticed like this thing needs to be changed and this thing needs to be changed. Like I'll kind of like start like really going through and being like, okay, with fresh eyes, like I noticed that like maybe we should be also doing this other thing. Yeah. You meant like for a simple pose, no exaggerate lightning? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It does look done. Same. Yeah. When you get fresh eyes on something, like even a break of just like a day or whatever, you'd stop thinking about it and then come back, like you'll see a bunch of stuff that like you'll be like, oh shit, we should have, like, I don't know what I was thinking there. Fresh eyes are a real thing. And that's why like whenever I hear people like deadline pressure's off, you can finally tinker. Yeah. This is also too, like I feel like sometimes people like lose their mind when like you try to give them corrects. Like, don't be that guy. Do not be that guy. Because, like, you know, people will see things that you don't see just because you're too close to it, you know? And I will tell you personally that I've had more growth through corrections than I ever have with anything else. You went more painterly with the original colors. It's cool to see what can be done with cuts and grads. Yeah. Well, like I was saying before, when we booted up the stream, this is, I kind of like wanted to do something for Capcom, if that makes any sense at all. Like we were talking about in the last stream with Charlie Chu about like how to pitch comics and how to you know, appropriately pitch comics to people. And I was that guy, sadly, was way too embarrassed. The thing is, it's not about embarrassment. Like everybody gets corrections, and you shouldn't think of it like embarrassment. Because like, you know, like I'm sure that, you know, Jim Lee gets corrections. You can't think about it like it's a bad thing. It's just like, oh, I've been looking at this for too long. You know, maybe somebody else with like, you know, fresh eyes is going to see something I won't. And that always happens. It always happens. And I've grown the most, like, when I started working on powers, I actually like grew tremendously over the course of that, just because like Bendis, like, he will give it to you. Like, he will not pull punches, and he also, like, he will not hold your hand because he's doing like a million fucking things, and he's like, you know, all over the place, so his time is precious. So he's just like, he'll go through and he'll be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is, we're gonna do this instead, change it to this. And at the time, it like really meant a lot to kind of get all of that feedback. We're getting close to done. We're close to done. We're gonna work a little bit extra on the folds and stuff, and we're gonna actually put a little bounce light into the gold as well. Let's do that. De Niro, hey, you all right, bud? He's got a little cut on his chest, and I'm trying to make sure he doesn't lick it. Lets it clot and all that. It's a little gross for stream, but yeah. Yeah, so we talked about how like we kind of want to make this for Capcom, essentially. That like we're trying to match what Capcom does for their projects. So I'm actually kind of curious what yours looks like, Will. Maybe once we're all done and I've done the two of them separate, I kind of want to see what yours looks like. Is it up, if you're still here, is it up on your Instagram or Twitter or something? I'll try to not see it until we're all done, because I don't want it to influence me. Yeah, you had something more specific in your head for that panel. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like you can't take corrections to heart, because a lot of times it's like you said, it's, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just like, oh, we were going for a different feel, or like whatever, you know. A lot of times I feel like it's that as well. So you got to take all corrections with like a little bit of a grain of salt. And we're just kind of making these feel a little more golden. So it turns out, by the way, I'm really bad at Street Fighter. I love it. I like playing it, but oh god, it is so bad. I was actually, so I got this cab that I drunkenly purchased, and then I was going to start to build a second cab, and I was gonna put a either a PC or an Xbox in it, and wire it up to the net so that you like always had a second player. You can always play against the computer. Well, I mean, you can play against the computer now, but you could play virtually on a cabinet with people around the world. But then I played with people around the world, and it turns out I don't actually want that experience. That what I'd rather have is not playing it at all than playing with people around the world. Till Street Fighter 5 to do Hadoukens. Yeah, the things that I can't do are the like the half circles, and a lot of the stuff like Guile's moves are like a complete fucking mystery to me. Like I can do Hadoukens like pretty consistently, but Street Fighter 4, yeah. At any rate, I ended up with the cab. So Capcom PlaySystem 2 games have this like security measure in place called well, when people replace the battery in it, they call it phoenixing, or when they hack it so that it's not, you know, so that it's not. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So that this system is not in place. It's called phoenixing the board. By the way, I've dropped like 3.5% frames. I hope that this VOD is like usable. I hope that it's not like stuttery and crazy. Hopefully it will be. Whoops. So I ended up selling the board that was in there, which was Marvel vs. Capcom 1. And then I had a second board that somebody gave me after they found out that I had this thing. It was a Dungeons and Dragons Shadows over Mysteria, or Mister. I don't remember what the exact title is. One of the Dungeons and Dragons games. And I replaced both those things because they have like a battery in them, and the battery goes, then it automatically like fries the board. Charge moves are kind of hard to understand because there's a release window. It's kind of twitchy depending on what game you play. Yeah, man. There's real skill to figuring out exactly the timing and everything. So I realized that, like, okay, so you pull the battery out of the board and you go to replace the battery, and you have something like a minute and a half or something like that, or like 30 seconds, I can't remember, to replace the battery on the board. Otherwise the board fries and is useless. And the thing is like, it's not like a regular changing battery, like, oh, we're going to change the battery in even our cell phone. Like changing a battery in your cell phone, you pop the back off, put the new battery in, you're done. It's like soldered in, so you have to like unsolder it, take the new battery, resolder it, or at least like put the connection back. So it's a little bit skill intensive. At least the boards that I had were. So I was like, all right, let's get these things out of here. And I got like a Phoenixed board with like an 18-in-1. And in that 18-in-1 was not only a crap load of Street Fighters, but Darkstalkers was in there, and but out of the fighters was like, you know, once I realized I was terrible at fighters, and I was like, it was driving me crazy, I started playing more Gigawing, which is dope. I love that game. And then I started playing more. There's an Alien versus Predator brawler that's like totally fucking awesome. And there's the D&D brawlers are really great in it too. And it kind of like woke up my love for just like a simple good brawler. It is 5:00. So we're just going to put in like a little more detail into these robes, just a little bit, into the fabric. Just kind of like giving them better shape. The Alien vs. Predator one is great. Yeah, dude, it is so good. It's on your Tumblr. You don't think it's on your Twitter? I can post a link whenever you want to take a look to compare. You should. Why don't you put it on your? What's your Tumblr handle, Will? Oh yeah, man. First of all, yeah, bullet hell games are real fun. The Alien vs. Predator game is real fun. Yeah, I love it. You're super jealous. Yeah, drunk me picked out a good thing. It was a pain in the ass to get, but he did all right. I have replacement. So the cab itself was bought from a dealer who was doing kind of like refurbs, these like cab refurbs. So it's like kind of like cobbled together from a bunch of other pieces. and because of that, it like it has I don't know if I can 1cc Giga Wing. That's tough. It gets really hard at the end. The Because of that, like half of the buttons on the inside are like quick connects. The buttons in the stick are like quick connects that you can just like slip on or slip off the button contact and put a new button in, no problem. And then the other half are like hard soldered on. So you need a little bit of skill to like not only to like, and there's no slack for the cables. Like all of the cables, it's like they have enough wiring to get you there, and that's it. There's no extra room. So yeah, I ordered some more buttons and stuff, but I haven't had the time to like really go in and do the work on it. Maybe one of these days on the weekend we'll do an arcade maintenance stream. Good night. Will Jones. Okay, so Will Jones he's just willjonesart.tumblr.com. I'm gonna repost it because I think it might have deleted your link. There you go. Yeah, so I think one of these days we'll do a stream of like arcade maintenance, which could be kind of fun because I've been wanting to get into that stuff, and I'm pretty terrible at soldering, so it'll be a fun stream because it might go horribly wrong, and I think that'll make for kind of a fun stream. Let's kind of like bring up some of the blues a little bit more. The idea that I have for doing the second Chun-li that we're gonna do is like radically different than this. So I'm actually really excited to do that. We're gonna actually, instead of lightening her shoulder, we're gonna actually darken it back here because maybe that's a little too much. Maybe just like a little bit. Because I kind of want it to like feel like it's more in the back than the front. Like she's kind of stepping into the light. So oh my God. I don't know if you guys just saw that. The light flickered for a second. I thought we were going to have a Florida power outage. Wouldn't that be some shit? All right. So I think we're close to done. Let's do some background work. And then we're going to do some slight tweaks. Just some like special effects stuff. By the way, Joel Bartlett picked this for a community day like a while back. And you can pick one if you're a sub on my channel here. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account and you can actually sub for a month. You only got to be, you don't have to be necessarily subbed while you have to be subbed to like throw something into the channel on the Discord, but you don't necessarily have to be subbed when we work on it. So if you sub, you put in your Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime link, sub to the channel, you can suggest art in the chat and we'll do it up. So yeah, if you're just sitting on an Amazon Prime account and you have not linked it to your Twitch, you can do that. And people on YouTube can do the same thing. Sub and then either ping me on Twitter or and be like, hey, I subbed, and like I don't want to set up a Discord, but like I want you to color this. Is that something we can do? And you know, we can work that out. You know, and of course, though, join the Discord. I'm hanging out in there all the time, and if you have any questions about comics or anything like that, I'm available. All right, so let's do a little bit of the background. Nero, go get your treat. What are you doing in here, bud? Go on. He's very confused. Hold on one second. Come on, bud. He's trying to figure out. Let's save. So, I don't know if you guys should actually be looking at that. Let's, because there's some unannounced projects that are in there. So let's walk away from that for a second. I'm looking for like a cool zip tone. It'll just be a second. I gotta find one that fits well. All right, this one fits pretty well. So let's take this. Let's drop it in a new layer. Let's mask it off. So to mask it, we're just going to click the thing, click the little mask button here. Boom, masked off. And we want to unlink it, because if we unlink it, I'm pretty sure this is going to work. We can, oh, we're on the mask. If we're unlinked, we can move the thing around and kind of like figure it out. All right, so let's, can we hide the mask? I don't think we can. All right, let's fill the layer under the black. Let's actually threshold it so it's black and white. Let's do like a yellow and then orange. Something like that. It's actually kind of select everything. Why is it doing that fuzz? Oh god, there's fuzz everywhere. Oh my god. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of like doing an abstract background. Let's kind of play with the color a little bit. See what it looks like. Oh, I kind of like that. Is that too like, remember those things in the 80s where you like spin it and drop some ink and it splatters? I think maybe it looks too much like that. We could do something like this. We're gonna set this to multiply. Screen. So this kind of looks okay. What if we... I mean, we're just kind of like, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of like putting a toothy kind of like explosion behind her. Yeah. Oh no, it picked up the fucking I went so long in this stream without swearing. And now I just dropped an F-bomb because the mask was wrong. It picked up the shines that were in the gauntlets or bracelets or whatever they are. All right, remasked. All right. This is okay. I'm not like thrilled by this background. Maybe we'll do something else. No. I wonder. We're kind of all over the place right now, chat. I'm sorry. I'm just like throwing a lot of. I'm just shotgunning solutions at problems at this point. Trying to make the background a little more interesting. See, now we're like, okay, so this is part of the problem while like just stack 3. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just stacking zips until it works. So like part of the problem that we have with this is that now we're getting like these weird shapes like under the armpit, around the head, like stuff that doesn't look, that we're getting like tangents almost. It's not like visually interesting. I kind of just, I don't know, is it weird that I just kind of like the blank background? That's got to be weird, right? Like maybe just like this. Like the subtle suggestion of a explosion. Crank up the saturation, tweak the. Oh, now we're good. Yeah, this I like. Because we're not like. The problem that we were having was like so much of it was like pulling from the original image that like it just wasn't, it was like competing almost. Let's try what Matt Wilson does. He suggested that he's doing this a lot in Runaways apparently, where he takes a multiply layer, and we're going to take this blue and kind of just like toss it through the thing. And then we're going to take a screen layer, or not, I'm sorry, not a screen, an overlay layer, and just kind of like put it as a radial highlight. We don't have to use that orange because it's kind of like making Chun-li look weird. Maybe we don't even use this. Desat it a little. Yeah. So by doing this, we kind of like made this stuff look a little brighter. Actually, we kind of just pulled all the warmth out of her face. That's kind of not where we want to be. Maybe we'll just keep the grad on the bottom. Huh? What do you think? Yeah? We're in there. Yeah. I feel like this is a good place for us to stop. And I feel like we've ended up in a place where like I could hand this to Capcom and not be embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like this is something that I feel like is up their alley. Actually, let's add a little bit of special effects to the spikes on the thing. First of all, we need to super black this guy. 80, 60, 40, not 10. And let's put it over everything except for the effects. So we can kind of go in and add a little bit of shine to the spikes. Down here we do the same thing. Yeah. Maybe even a little from the glow behind her. Yeah. I feel like we got there. Pretty decent. We are going to next coloring stream, we're gonna color this again, except I'm gonna try a radically different approach. Something that I think is not welcoming for Capcom, but is something that I kind of want to try with it, just to see where it goes. I don't know if we're gonna end up with something that I actually want to like put on my Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, but we're gonna experiment at least. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna try to do like minimal cuts and stuff. Like we're gonna try to lean into light sources as a solution for time kind of thing. It's gonna be interesting. It might not even end up that way. I don't know. It's gonna be wild. But for now, I think this is pretty much done. I might tweak it a little bit after, fresh eyes and all that. If you want to see, it's going to look a little weird through Twitch, but if you want to see like how she ended up in real life, quote unquote real life, then you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram, which is right up there. I'm Nick_Filardi on Instagram, Nick Phil on Twitter, and I'll be posting this and the second version together once it's all done. And I think we're gonna we might play some games this weekend. I'm not exactly sure. My fiance's in-laws are gonna be in town, or not my in-laws, kind of, but not. We're not lawed yet. I don't know. The specifics don't matter. The weekend's kind of like weird, but if I get some time on Sunday, we'll play some games. Next art stream is going to be this, and then we might do another remake, recolor, remaster of some 90s X-Men stuff for the next big thing. So hang on to your butts. Look out for that. And I will see you next time. Thanks for coming by.